Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Amma ba'd. The space might be a little small, but our hearts are really, really big. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I learned how to talk this way by my beautiful Sheikh Ninawi over here. Alhamdulillah. No, I can't even match his height. Yeah, I really literally cannot match his height. MashaAllah, he's taller than me. Welcome everybody. Marhaba bikum. I'm glad you're all here. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. And actually I'm going to give the floor to our honorable speakers to begin the conversation. So just roughly the agenda, we'll have Sheikh Ninawi go first and say a few words, inshallah, if that's okay with you, Sheikh? Okay, and he has to rush to the airport right after this, and just for us, he came like all the way up north, and now he has to go all the way down south, so make dua for him. Yes, yeah. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your trip safe. And then we will have the Imam Arshad go next, and then we have Sheikh Ahmed Salim. Barakallahu feekum, welcome to you both. Really glad you're here. And then we have Sheikh Farsan Abdullah Asad here. Barakallahu feekum. You go next. And then I'll come back and I'll wrap up, and we're going to kind of talk about this masjid a little bit about our future plans, inshallah. And then we will possibly reach Isha. Isha at 7:30. If we need to delay it, we can delay it a little bit. Let's not rush. But I know if the crowd gets a little bit antsy, inshallah, we'll make adjustments. We'll do Isha, and then we'll have dinner. And then we also have a little bit of a sweet gift for everybody to take away, mashallah. So please don't remember to take away the sweet gift. It's one per family on average, but it could be more, inshallah. Okay, barakallahu feekum. And Shaykhana Ninawi, tafadhal, please come here and say a few words. But before he goes, I just wanted to tell you, the whole reason I'm standing over here is wallahi al-azim, this is the first time I'm saying in a large public, it's because of Sheikh Ninawi. And I'll tell you a little bit of a story before he goes. So long after I leave? Yes. I can do that.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa azwajihi wa dhurriyyatihi wa ashabihi wa tabi'in. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It's a great honor, obviously, to be here. Ustad Adnan is one of the most instrumental people in society, but I am not used to praise people in their faces, so I won't do that. Now, there's a hadith that says, someone praises you to your face, run away, throw sands in their face, but not me.
You can throw sand.
No. We throw praises for you, but I know he means it well. 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah says to Surah At-Tawbah, إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة ولم يخش إلا الله فعسى أولئك أن يكونوا من المهتدين. The meaning of the ayah, those who build, put a little bit under build, يعمر, maybe build. Let's just take it for right now. Those who build the masajid of Allah are those who believe in Allah. And they believe in the Yawm al-Akhir. And those who establish the salah. And those who give the zakah. And those who fear none but Allah. Then Al-Quran Kareem finishes the ayah by saying, maybe those, فَعْسَى أُولَٰئِكَ, maybe those will be among the righteous. Look, those who build the houses of Allah. And believe in those who believe in Allah, those who really build the Masjid of Allah, are those who really believe in Allah. They believe in the Day of Judgment. They establish the Salah. They do the Zakah, and they fear none but Allah. Maybe those will be among the righteous. But then the ayah is followed by another ayah, where Allah says, أَجْعَلْتُمْ سِقَايَةَ الْحَاجِّ وَعِمَارَةَ الْبَيْتِ كَمَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. Let's stop here, the ayah goes on. And then, are you making basically, are you making the serving of the pilgrims and giving them water, serving them, equal in Al-Masjid al-Haram, equal to those who believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and they struggle? La yastawi. They're not equal. From this we take two things. Number one, in the first ayah Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ. In the second ayah, أَجَعَلْتُمْ سِقَايَةَ الْحَاجِّ وَعِمَارَةَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. He does not call it the Masjid of Allah, he calls it the Masjid al-Haram. Is there a notion there? For sure. What is the notion? Well, number one, building the masjid should be for Allah. When the niyas are not right, then it becomes a masjid. But إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. On the second ayah, Allah is reprimanding Quraysh by telling them, when you serve the Masjid al-Haram, that's not equal to those who believe. In the first one, those who build are those who believe. So is that the notion for us to be sincere? Absolutely. And then the first lesson we learn from the ayah is, building the houses for Allah ought to be for Allah. And that means absolutely for Allah, selflessly for Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's the only way that you could be under the ayah subsumed, those of you who built in many ways. You could be subsumed then under the ayah that describes إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ. And it said that you are a believer in Allah and a believer in the Day of Judgment, and you establish the Salah, and you give the Zakat, and you fear none but Allah, and then therefore you may be among the righteous. Inshallah. Like if we look at the history, yani prophetic masjid sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, we see the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam masjid is not only reduced to a place of worship. A place of worship was only one aspect of the prophetic masjid. The prophetic masjid was an institution of learning as well, where Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in would go and learn. But also the prophetic masjid was not only a place of worship and an institution of higher learning and beginner learning and middle and advanced learning, but also we see the prophetic masjid, the place of the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Hadith you all know fi Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kharaja ala halaqatin min ashabi, Hadith Muawiyah, that Muslim narrated. He came out on a circle of his Sahaba. قال ما أجلسكم? Why are you sitting like this? And they told him, Ya Rasulullah, we're sitting to remember Allah, glorify Him, praise Him. قال ما الله ما أجلسكم إلا that? Only for Allah. There's nothing else that you gathered to remember? They said, no, nothing. He said, أما إني لم أستحلفكم تهمة لكم. I'm not questioning you out of accusation of your intention, but I am telling you that Allah is pleased with you. So now that's a third thing. Now it's a place for what? Yani what do you want to call dhikr nowadays language? Meditation, contemplation, reflection, praise of Allah. That's number 3. Masjid Nabawi was not only that, was also a place of what? Of poetry chanting. Anyway, I know something. Poetry chanting. The hadith is Sahih Muslim. نعم أخرج الإمام مسلم في أفراده. Also النسائي رحمه الله وإسناد النسائي صحيح. عن سماك بن حرب قال قلت لجابر بن سمرة. He asked Jabir bin Samra, كنت تجالس رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. هذا سماك تابعي يعني تابعي صغير. وجابر also تابعي صحابي صغير. لكن he asked him, did you have the opportunity to sit with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم? قال نعم. Jabir told him, yes, I did. كان صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم إذا صلى الفجر, when the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم would pray Fajr, جلس في مصلاه حتى تطلع الشمس. He would stay in his area of salah until the sun rises. ويجلس أصحابه يتحدثون يذكرون الجاهلية. And his Sahaba are sitting around, they're talking, social talking. So the masjid was also a place for what? Social gatherings as well. We mentioned a few things now. For the Sahaba would sit, يجلسون يذكرون حديث الجاهلية. They speak and remember the days in pre-Islam and what they did. وينشدون الشعر. ما قال يقرضون أو يقرضون الشعر. He did not say they recite, they say poetry, but they chant poetry. ويضحكون اللفظ, and they laugh. It's okay to laugh in the masjid. الصحابة they did. قال جابر ويبتسم صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم, and when Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم is smiling at them عليه وعلى آله وسلم. So that gives us now so many different reasons for the masjid. وظيفة اجتماعي, وظيفة دينية. It's a functional religious function, a spiritual function, an educational function, a social function. Now what else? وكان فيه مصاخير. And what does that mean? More they bring in nibal والأسهم يصقلونها في مسجد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. They would bring their swords and their arrows, and they would actually also sharpen them and keep them ready. That was their private weapon in the old days. Just like the US laws, everyone has the right to bear arms. They also had the right to bear arms in the old days. That also something else. وكان فيه دكة القضاء. And the Prophet ﷺ was a place for reconciliation between people, and also judgment. And that's why you see في السنة اسطوانة أبي لبابة, the pillar of Abu Lubaba al-Ansari radiallahu ta'ala. All these things were functions of the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was an institution, and therefore Allah says إنما يعمر. And يعمر doesn't necessarily mean build. يعمر means to fill. إعمار. And إعمار, to fill and to positively contribute, comes in many ways. يعني there's a ملاحظة or إشارة, maybe I'll say. Allah, when He spoke about us on earth, He says استعمركم فيها. He created you from earth and asked you to do إعمار of earth, يعني positively contributing or building earth. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم says جعلت, حديث الصحيح يعني, جعلت لي الأرض مسجدا وطهورا. The whole earth is the masjid for me. So that means by definition إنما يعمر مساجد الله, يعني إشارة. That means your job, that you turn the masjid into a positive contribution, not just to the masjid, but to the whole earth actually, in every aspect that you can. Not limited to a place of worship, a reductionist view, but also all other aspects of the prophetic masjid, and make the place a nucleus for illumination of the world, not just the city or the state or the community. One can say, I'm coming through the masajid, I don't see institutions of knowledge, or I don't see places of reconciliation. I see people say, Assalamu alaikum. Before he finishes the second salam, he's already out. The point, إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ, is that it becomes a community building. But the community of Muslims is the whole world. Building, so let me replace that by saying humanity building. That's what the job is. Therefore, فَعَسَى أُولَٰئِكَ أَن يَكُونُ مِنَ الْمُهْتَدِينَ. Those should be among, can be among the righteous people. Well, if all you worry is about yourself and your own well-being, you've missed the concept of Islam in many ways. If you think that this is an issue of selfishness or me versus... So when people say, I'm coming to the masjid, I don't see all these things. I see sometimes walls of discrimination and hate under the banner of love and mercy. That's because the masjid is not for Allah. The masjid is for the people. When the masjid is not for Allah, then the agenda becomes for the people. When the masjid is for Allah, then those shall be among the righteous ones. وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. You should make that masjid for Allah, and that means the creation of Allah ought to benefit from that. Bashar wa shajar wa hajar, not just the human beings, even the trees ought to benefit from your spiritual illumination and activity, and the water ought to benefit, and the flowers ought to benefit, and the beauty ought to be increased because of your presence. The illumination on earth ought to increase because of the presence. Otherwise, a masjid that builds a community turns to divide community, then it becomes not a masjid for Allah, it becomes a masjid for a person. Let me move to the word إنما يعمر real quick. العمارة or building may not be building necessarily. Let's take it building right now. الحديث في مسلم عفوا في أفراده عن سيدنا عثمان النورين towards the end of Sayyidina Uthman's life. لأن سيدنا عثمان رضي الله عنه built the prophetic masjid. You say, no, he did not build it. The Prophet ﷺ built it. I understand. He actually oversaw the expansion and the remodeling of the prophetic masjid over 30 years, Ibn Hajar says. يعني ناقلا عن البغوي في شرح السنة. طيب, what does that all mean? Uthman narrates a hadith في صحيح Muslim, with the event of the hadith is him building the masjid or renewing, or what do you call it? Not reconstructing, but renovating the masjid and enlarging it, expanding it. Uthman. They asked him, he says, I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, Man bana lillahi masjidan. Whoever builds a masjid for Allah's sake, notice. قال بكير, وهو الراوي هذا بكير. قال أحسب أنه قال يبتغي به وجه الله. يعني whoever built a masjid seeking only the pleasure of Allah, بنى الله له مثله في الجنة. Allah will give him similar in Jannah. Now Ibn Hajar, what does he say? He says, wait. He says that doesn't mean those who first build. Now some of you may be the first builders. He says because Uthman was not the first builder. Uthman was what? The renovator and the one who expanded. So he says that's included, the fahm, the understanding of Uthman, not only those who build, but those who help after the building, those who expand, those who renovate, those who come later, they will also be counted among those who have built a masjid for Allah's sake, so long they do it for Allah's sake, and then Allah will give them similar like this in Jannah. Sustainers, and that's also إطلاق الكل أو الجزء على الكل, as in the Arabic language. You may say, I built the bathrooms in the masjid. That is also building the masjid. I know that this is a known concept for usul. The second thing, real quick, إنما يعمر, no, we don't mean the actual building or sustaining. لكن we mean with that those who fill, لأنه الإعمار means attending, filling, being always there. So as if the ayah is saying, إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله. Those who really are filling and attending the masajid of Allah are truly those who believe in Allah. If you don't believe in Him, you will not attend. And what does that mean then? You attend the masjid of Allah. What does that mean? You fill it with salah. You fill it with qiyam. You fill it with ilm. You fill it with dhikr, etc., etc., etc. إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ. If you are among those who attend and fill the masajid of Allah, the ayah says, which means then you will be among those who are truly a believer in Allah, and you are the one who established the salah and give the zakah and fear none but Allah, and that's why you will be among the righteous. That's why Hadith al-Bukhari Muslim and Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu, among the 7 that will be given a shade in the Day of Judgment is one what? وَقَلْبُهُ وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقًا فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. And one person will be given that shade, which means a rahmah or whatever Allah Ta'ala is attributable to him. That man, his heart is attached to the masjid. Ajib. Just because he leaves the masjid, he comes back to the masjid. He's filling the masjid. He did not build the masjid in the sense of construction, but he constructed the masjid with his presence. That will be granted the shade of the Day of Judgment. إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. The last thing is here, لا العمارة الروحية المقصود. إنما يعمر those who, what is a masjid? They say مكان السجود, this place of sujood is called a masjid. Masjid is a place of sujood. They say in order for you to actually be under that ayah, subsumed under the ayah, the place of sujood needs to be a place of shuhud. How? حديث سيدنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الصحيح، حديث عمر رضي الله عنه: الإحسان أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. Ihsan is that you worship Him as if you're seeing Him. If you're not witnessing Him, He surely is witnessing you. So, إنما يعمر the place of sujood, masajid, the place of sujood. Those who fulfill properly the station of sujood to Allah are those who are witnessing Allah when they are in their sujood. They're witnessing none but Allah. As if when he came to the salat and to the sujood, he brought his heart with him before Allah and left everything other than that away from that position of shuhud. So in the station of sujood, he's not thinking about the creation and about tomorrow and about the family and about the money and about everything else. But he is entirely devoted to Allah Rabbul Alameen. لأنه العابد, and they say, how do you do that? How do you detach? They said the only way is, if you're a worshipper, you detach from what? Your sujood, you detach from your lower shahwa, your desires. And if you're a zahid, you detach from what? You detach from your own wishes and wants to be devoted to Allah. Because you're not supposed to see anything or witness anything but Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you are a arif, you know Allah Azza wa Jal, then you sever your reliance on anything but Allah as you're doing sujood. You're not saying Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, and your heart is reliant on the creation and on your power and on your money, on what you have. You're relying on too many things of the creation, Habib. You're supposed to do sujood and saying Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. The only A'la is Allah, everything is Adna. Or the sujood of the muwahhid, who witnesses nothing but Allah. إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. So may Allah Azza wa Jal make us among those who are fulfilling إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. Allah Ta'ala bless this masjid, bless the people who started it, bless the people who are sustaining it, bless the people who will come and sustain it and expand it and make it better. And Allah Azza wa Jal make this place a place of illumination, not just for its attendees, but not just also for their city and their state and the country, but for humanity as a whole. Make it a place of worship, a place of an institution of knowledge, an institution of higher learning, a place of illumination, a place of education, a place of reconciliation, a place of building bridges, a place of selflessness, a place of struggle to build the humanity that is requiring building and is screaming for mercy and love nowadays. May Allah Azza wa Jal make it all that and more. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alih. And excuse me, I mean no disrespect for the mashayikh or anybody, but I really have an international flight to catch. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. I think Sheikh Ahmed and myself were just saying, let's just have dinner now. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, Sheikh Allah Barak his presence, MashaAllah, alone is very, very spiritual. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the Sheikh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of us for being here, and may Allah Azza wa Jalla bless us as we spend time in one of his houses. I just want to share a few perspectives for engaging with the masjid. Can everybody see me? Okay, we can hear each other. Just a few perspectives for engaging with the masjid, specifically for those of us now that are, we're living in the United States of America. If you come from a Muslim country, the masjid is a very different thing, right? The masjid is your place for salah. It opens up for when it's time for prayer, you go to the masjid, you fulfill your right of prayer. And then your social and political and all your other affairs, they're handled outside your masjid. Why? Because the community itself is a Muslim community. So you have so many other things that you do to fulfill your religious rights as a social right or whatever outside of the masjid, right? Your school doesn't have to be in the masjid because the school is in a Muslim community, right? Your social services don't have to come from the masjid because you're living in a Muslim country, right? And so the social services are there as well. But being in the United States or being in any other country where we are a minority, the masjid all of a sudden plays an immense role, and it's a very, very central role. I want to share a few narrations about the masjid, and just to give some perspective. Ibn Umar, radiallahu anhu, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, خير البقاع المساجد وشر البقاع الأسواق. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said the best piece of land, right? The best portion of land you can find are the masajid. And the worst places you can be are the aswaq. The aswaq is what? The one across the street. Yeah, you have the Kroger, right? The souk, the market. The marketplaces are the worst places for you to spend your time. The best places for you to spend your time are the masajid. Worst places to spend your time, the markets. And now, imagine today, right? In today's world, you don't have to walk to the market. You literally have the marketplace right on your phone. I have it on my phone right now as well. The market is now living with you. You don't even have to go to the market is always with you. And the Prophet ﷺ said the worst place to spend your time. And they made it easy so you can browse and spend hours and hours and just looking, and now all of the links that come from all the different social media that take you back to the marketplace. There's a reason for all of this, right? But the Prophet ﷺ warned us about this. But you want to get away from that dunya. The markets are all about dunya. The masjid is the place where you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said, Al-masajid biyutullahi fil ard. تَلِئُ لِأَهْلِ السَّمَاءِ كَمَا تَلِئُ نُجُومُ السَّمَاءِ لِأَهْلِ الْأَرْضِ. It's a beautiful narration from the Sahabi radiallahu anhu. That he said that masajid, they are the houses of Allah on the earth. They radiate for those in the heavens, the angels. The masajid, they radiate for those in the heavens, like the stars in the sky, they radiate for the people of the earth. It's a beautiful thing. And you look up at a clear night sky and you admire the beauty of the stars, they're shining, and you're looking at them and you're like, subhanallah, mashallah, what a beautiful creation. Well, for the angels that are looking down on earth, what do they see? What do they see? There's so many things on earth, and you've seen the image, the satellite image of earth with all these bright lights, right? It's just shining bright. You can see cities, you can see roadways. If you're up in the airplane, 30, 40,000 feet in the air, you look down, you see a very illuminated piece of land. But for the angels, what really shines? What really shines? The masajid. They radiate, and there's other narrations from the Prophet ﷺ. He mentions how the angels, they roam the earth, looking for hilaq al-dhikr, looking for the circles of dhikr, so that they can go. These are usually in the masajid, and they can go, and then they envelop with their wings, and they make dua. They pray for them for mercy for those that are present as well. So your presence inside this place, this is one of the houses of Allah. As the Shaykh mentioned, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ. The masajid, they belong to Allah. So when you're sitting, when you're here, you are in a house that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically has attributed to Himself. Allah has added His name to the word house to now make this place that much more special. Right? My house means nothing. Right? If you come to, the White House means nothing, right? The house of Allah is everything, right? The house of Allah, there's a very special, just the fact that it is associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it is a very, very, very special place. And I want to comment on just the ayah Sheikh mentioned as well. Imam az-Zamakhshari, rahimahullah, he comments on the ayah that Sheikh Yunus just mentioned. And he says that, we talked about ya'mur or the maintenance or sustenance of the masjid. He mentions in his tafsir, he says the maintenance of the masjid belongs to such people, as Allah has mentioned in the ayah. And maintenance means fixing what needs fixing, cleaning it, placing lights in it, honoring it, and coming to it for worship, the remembrance of Allah, and seeking knowledge. And this is the best form of dhikr. Imam Zamakhshari says this is the best form of dhikr, to come to the masjid to learn. Not just to pray, but to come to the masjid to learn. But he also talks about, fixing things and cleaning things up and making sure you take care of it and all of these things. All of this is a part of loving the masjid. And the one that would do this is the one that Allah Azza wa Jalla describes and believes in Allah in the last day and fears none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to share a narration about subhanAllah, this narration is really amazing. This narration is really amazing. It's hadith. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he mentions, أن رجلا أسود وامرأة سوداء كان يقوم المسجد فمات. This narration is interesting because Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he mentions that there was a black man or a black woman, right? He doesn't know. There was a person, right? It was a man or it was a woman. He's not really sure himself. كان يقوم المسجد فمات. They used to sweep the masjid, clean the masjid, but they passed away. فسأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عنه. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم asked, where is this person? Where is this person that used to clean the masjid? فقالوا مات. They said he or she passed away. قال أفلا كنتم أتذكرون به دلوني على قبره. Then why didn't you inform me? Why didn't you tell me that this person passed? Show me where their qabr is. Meaning they passed, they had their salatul janazah, they buried them, they did everything. Nobody told the Prophet ﷺ that this person had passed. By the way, in Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ then he says, why didn't you tell me? Show me where this person's grave is. Or her grave is, because again the narration is really interesting. فَأَتَى قَبْرَهَا فَصَلَّى عَلَيْهَا. Then he came to this person's qabr, and the Prophet ﷺ prayed for them at their grave. At their grave. Other narrations clarify that it was a woman. That it was a woman who would sweep the masjid, clean the masjid. But the narration is interesting because look how unnoticed this person went. How unnoticed this person went that even the narrator of the hadith, Abu Hurairah was unsure, was it a man or a woman? I don't know, I can't remember. Right? But there was somebody who would clean the masjid. And in other narrations, they clarify it was a woman that would clean the masjid. But they don't even, this person was not that, noticed by everybody else. But who noticed it? Who noticed her and what she did for the masjid? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he noticed it so much, and she would, clean and sweep the masjid. Noticed it so much that when she passed away, they had her janazah, they buried her, and he was upset. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me she passed away? Goes to her grave, makes them show her where her grave is, and he prays for her at her grave. SubhanAllah, imagine if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stood over your grave and prayed for you, made dua for you, and perform salah. Imagine if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that for you, and what was your contribution that made it so special? That you did something small for the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the appreciation the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had for people who did anything for the sake of Allah, for the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this narration is something that, I always like sharing this with community members. Why? The Shaykh also mentioned attending the masjid is really important. One of the ways you maintain the masjid is by showing up and being here. And pitching in any way, shape, or form, right? Especially the masajid we have in the United States. We rest upon our communities, the efforts of every individual that contributes to the masjid. You have a certain area of knowledge, certain area of skill, bring it to the masjid, show and share and teach with other people. Give that skill to the masjid as well. And then share that skill with other people. Teach. Be here. Be involved. It is the presence of the community and the involvement of the community that really makes masajid thrive. It really makes masajid thrive. When you start finding a way to contribute to the house of Allah out of yourself, and maybe you can't do anything because everybody else is doing something, but you can come. You can come for Salah, you can come for Jummah, you can always be here whenever there's a program. Just the presence and occupancy in and of itself is something that is extremely important. And that would be something that, again, if Rasulullah ﷺ was here with you, and he would notice your small contribution. He would notice your small contribution. You have to forgive your imams and your board members and your leaders. We are not anywhere close to what Rasulullah ﷺ was. People will not necessarily notice. Rasulullah ﷺ was special, he noticed. Right? People may not even notice. But this shows you, even the Sahaba couldn't even remember who this person was. But the Prophet ﷺ really appreciated it. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to find an avenue for each and every single one of us to do something for the house of Allah. Something for that to the house of Allah on a regular basis. Make that our commitment, even if at the very least it's just coming and being here for salah and making sure that we're giving our hearts into this masjid as well. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to bless this space. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless your community. And again, anything you all need, just ask. Inshallah, we're all here to help. We're all at your service as well. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
عمارة المسجد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. ربنا زدنا علما يا كريم. جزاك الله خير Imam Arshad as well as for Sheikh Ninaway. He left, but as I said, we can still break for dinner. As he said, we can still break for dinner. We're just waiting for the ordinaries to get the message. What better occasion to be gathered in than to gather in an opening of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are occasions that come not very often. And if you can take out a time, you should definitely be part of the history making. You should definitely be there saying, you know what, when your grandsons are there, like, I was there when this masjid turned into a mega center. I was there that night, when you had to go through the sisters' area to go to the bathroom. You don't even know the stories I can tell you about this place. So, these things are so sacred, but I wanted to bring attention to the word that you see written over here, al-Husna, outside, everywhere. Because our deen has three elements. You have the element of Islam, the 5 pillars. You have the element of Iman. How many pillars? 6. 6. Yes, 6 pillars. Alhamdulillah. Then you have the element of Ihsan. Right? And this is Hadith Jibreel. This is the essence. And Ihsan is basically the simplest form, and that was Allah, as the Shaykh said, that you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ, as if you're able to see Allah. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. If you're not able to get to that state and understand that He sees you very well, that's the state that a person is supposed to be in. In everything we do, we are required to do ihsan. That's what Allah says, لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. That the ones that did ahsan, if you read the tafsir of this word, it means that they did good in every single aspect of their lives. They did good when they entered the masjid. They put their shoes in the right place when they entered the masjid. They parked in the right places when they entered the masjid. They were very respectful to others when they entered the masjid. In every single aspect of their existence, whether it was in the masjid or outside, or when we parked across the street, we did ihsan. We didn't take 2 spots. Every single aspect of our life becomes ihsan. Then after that, Allah is like, لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا. If you live with ihsan in this dunya, you get al-husna. Al-Husna, there is multiple aqwal of the Salaf, I think more than 5 or 6 in the tafsir books that are mentioned, but one of the biggest ones is what? Husna means what? Jannah. So we live our lives as if Allah is watching us, or you're able to see Allah, but you can't see Allah, so Allah is watching us. The result is, you enter into Jannah. Now, look at how many ways Allah has attached for you to enter into Jannah using the masjid. Or Allah has given special maqam for the people who are attached to the masjid. One of them was cleaning of the masjid, which you mentioned. But from the beginning, if you start, imaratul masjid, It doesn't have to be a big masjid. تعمير من بنى مسجدا the hadith is I had it just, the kid moved and I lost it. مفحص القطاع. Yes. كمفحص القطاع. That, what's a مفحص القطاع? It's a bird that doesn't lay its eggs in a nest. It's a bird that goes in the desert, uses its beak, digs up a small hole, lays the egg and moves away. Okay? If you were to build a masjid which was the size of the nest of this bird, Allah will build a house for you in Jannah. Ajib. Who's going to pray in that masjid? Like our toe won't even fit in there. But it's figurative speech that Allah, Prophet ﷺ is telling you that the ajr is that if you even got a brick in the house of this masjid, then you get, it's not like, oh, you got one brick, you only get a Jannah. You get the Jannah, but your house only has one brick there. If it was dunya, that's how we would trade. But Allah's like, you got a brick in there, you get a full-fledged, fully loaded Jannah. Right? Leather interior and everything else. Inshallah. The second, the people who are giving adhan in the masjid. What happens to them on the day of Jannah? They have the longest necks. You'll be able to, the muadhin. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made special dua for the muadhins. In the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, that the imam and the muadhin, Prophet sallallahu made dua for the imam to be a murshid. Allahumma arshudhum. Allah, give them rushd, give them guidance to lead the community in the right manner. And the muadhin, Allahumma aghfir. Then, what else? رَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. Where does he stand on the day of judgment? Until underneath the dhill of arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shade of Allah, the shade of the arsh of Allah. It is mentioned in Al-Qayyim, he mentions that the people who will get this special, you know sometimes you go to park, you park somewhere, it's really busy, and then they have, like, if you go to Avalon, they have this valet parking. You gotta pay $25 or $30, whatever, and you get special treatment. Wow. The people who are going to be under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a valet treatment for them Allah has preserved for them. So a person who's connected to the masjid, his valet treatment is what? As Ibn al-Qayyim says, that on that day, people will be resurrected. And when people are going to be resurrected, they'll be resurrected in multiple states. Some will be resurrected on their faces. Their face in the ground, not their feet. While others, like the ones who will go underneath the shade of the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will come out, they will have a cart, a chariot, with a horse and angels. And they will say, right on. This is not where you're going to stop. We got to take you to your final destination. Special valet. You'll be whipped through mahshar, all the way until you get into the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ajib. Look at what else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has connected to the people of the masajid. People who do dhikr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the hadith, which he also mentioned, that إِذَا مَرَرْتُمْ بِحِلَقِ الذِّكْرِ. Right? When you see people remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we are all gathered today, Prophet said, فَارْتَعُوا لَهُ. Go and sit with them and satiate yourself. Satiate the iman defect that we have built by being in the society alone. Satiate yourselves from that. But then what happens? You and I don't see the unseen. The angels are also roaming around looking for these type of gatherings. So what happens is they gather and they find this gathering, so they say, hey, yo, we found it. So they make a call out to all the other angels, حَتَّى يَأْتُونَ وَيَحُفُّونَ الْمَجْلِسِ. They come and they gather this entire majlis with the wings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, gather this majlis with the wings of the angels. And then He will gather and this majlis is presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the angel says, Ya Rasul, Ya Allah, there is one man amongst them that came for food. Questions the intentions. Like, في واحد منهم لم أتى للذكر. He didn't come for the remembrance. He didn't come for this. He didn't come for it. He came for other intentions. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هم القوم لا يشقى. as long as he was there, these are the group of people. If you're amongst them, you will never have a bad luck. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. And the list can go on and on of husna. Right? And now, subhanAllah, figuratively, it has become husna. So you come to Masjid al-Husna, every time you come, you remember, you will get ziyada. And the ziyada is, they will take your donations from you. Every time you'll come, ziyada, $10 gone. That's good, because you're also building the masjid. It's great. Alhamdulillah. But anyhow, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give tawfiq and give us pure intention to build this masjid. Because remember, the masjidun ussisa ala taqwa. There are so many masajids that are built, but you'll go to that masjid and you'll see that there's no iman there. It may be filled with people, but their hearts are fractured. They fight with one another. No ruhaniyah. But you come to a masjid, there might be few people. كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. It's not the numbers that matter. It's the quality within that number. When Dawud alayhi salam was in the Jalut's camp, and they were fighting with Talut, right? It is the tafsir books mentioned there were 10. In opposite to 40,000. 10 versus 40,000. That's why Allah says in that moment, كَمْ مِنْ فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ. How many times history repeats itself. So it may be a small group, but Allah gives us sincerity, Allah gives us ikhlas, Allah gives us the true ability to have taqwa. So the foundations of this masjid is taqwa. And wallahi, if the foundation of this masjid is taqwa, I leave you with a true story, because we sometimes hear hadith, but this is a true story. There was a person who was building a masjid, and the masjid stopped, i.e. they ran out of funds. So one day the imam, they put a lot of pressure on the imam. Imam is like, I'm going to go and say something. So imam goes up there, he's like, look, I will give a person a written contract that you will enter Jannah if you help us build this Jannah. So there was a businessman who was entering the masjid. It's a true story. There was a businessman that was entering the masjid for the first time. This was in Egypt. This was his Jum'ah after, I don't know, so many years. It happens to be that this was he entered there. He came after the imam, he said, look, are you going to taktub li wathiqatan aqdiyya? Are you going to write like an actual contract that I will enter Jannah? He said, af'al. Sa'abni al-masjid. He's like, I will build the masjid. So he builds the masjid, finishes off. This imam writes the contract, and every night he's like, oh Allah, I have no idea what I did. I know that I wrote that contract. I don't have the authority for this contract. Oh Allah, don't hold me accountable for this contract. I feel so guilty that the masjid is built. But oh Allah, mani bil aqd. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this contract on the day of judgment. 7 months pass by. The businessman dies. And the imam, he sees a dream. And in the dream, the angels come and they tell this person, أَمَّا الْمَسْجِدِ. As for the masjid, فَقَبِلْنَا. We have accepted the masjid. أَمَّا الْعَقْدُ فَوَثَّقْنَا. As for this contract, we have put a seal and a stamp on it. We have affirmed it. وَأَمَّا الْعَبْدُ. And as for that servant, فَأَدْخَلْنَا. And we have entered into the Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those. I'm not giving any contracts out here. Just in case anybody's like, okay, this Sheikh, I got, although we could, between you and me, we can write the contract. But no contracts here. But make your intentions pure and make your du'as sincere that Allah gives this genuine Masjid al-Husna, a very Husna start. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The speakers that went before me have said my will suffice for everyone. I'm just here really. My father was supposed to be here. He was sick. He wasn't able to make it. But alhamdulillah, this is a ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gathered us here on such an important occasion. This is an occasion which is more than what we would probably think the importance is. You know, at a time when the ummah is going through what it's going through, we look for occasions like this to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a wasila. You know, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, after he built, or after he raised and renovated really, the Kaaba, وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَعِيلُ, when Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam, when they raised up the Kaaba, what did they do? They made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After a good amal like this, an important amal like this. And this is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that not everyone gets the opportunity to carry out. We all like to be part of it. But this is actually a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You know, when Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after Hijrah, when he came to Medina, the first thing he did was build a Masjid al-Husna. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he moved forward. The time of Jum'ah came and he built the Masjid in Bani Salim ibn Auf. Bani Salim ibn Auf. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he proceeded to Medina, and then the first thing he did again was built Masjid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which we see. And not only did he order it to be built, but he actually partook by his own self. He helped in the building of that building. So this is a great sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's a communal obligation. Our community would not be a community, or our communities would not be communities without these masajid. These are very important. Sadaqah jariyah. This is an incredible sadaqah jariyah. According to the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as reported by Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that in the mimma yalhaq al-abd, that from those actions, min amalihi wa hasanatih, from those actions and those good deeds which a person will receive even after his death. The reward of it he will receive even after his death. And he lists out a bunch of actions which will benefit us even after we die. Ilman allamahu wa nashara, ilm that a person has taught and he has spread. Waladan salihan, or a pious child, yad'u la, or taraka, that he left behind. That child will make dua for the parents. O waladan salihan taraka, O bana masjidan, or he built a masjid, or mushafan waratha, or he gave a mushaf, a Quran to someone. Whenever that person reads the Quran, the reward will continue to come to him. O masjidan bana, or a masjid that he has built. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically mentioned this amal as one of the a'mal of sadaqah jariyah. O baytan libn sabil bana, or he built a house for the travelers. O nahran ajra, or he dug a river from which people will continue to benefit. أو صدقة أخرجه من ماله في حياته قبل موته, or some sadaqah which he gave during his siha in his life before he died, يلحق العبد بعد موته. That these things will be seen, and the benefit of these a'mal will be seen by the person even after he is dead, even after his book of deeds is closed. So this is an amazing sadaqah jariyah, and this is why we congratulate those who partook in it. As was mentioned previously, you know, a lot of the things were mentioned, and I don't want to just repeat everything.
We left nothing for you.
They mentioned that according to the hadith of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, this building of a masjid. And when I say building, one is building it, also one is the a'mal of the masjid in terms of filling it up, as Shaykh Ninawi mentioned earlier. All of this is also a testament to the iman of a person. This is a testament to the iman of a person. And this is a, for example, like a promise we can take from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of entry into Jannah. How so? Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, when we heard the hadith earlier, in which he says that سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من بنى لله مسجدا, or من بنى مسجدا لله, that whoever built a masjid for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بنى الله له بيتا مثله, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build him a house equal to it. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, he writes under this hadith, he says that what becomes apparent is one thing is established, and that is that this person will enter Jannah. Because Allah Ta'ala will not build him a house in Jannah and then not let him enter it. So one, you will get to go to Jannah. That's a done deal. You built a masjid, Allah Ta'ala will build you a house in Jannah, which you will see one day. Which you will see one day. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah and others, they've explained that what does it mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build him a house like it in Jannah? It says, like it in name. It will be called a house. It will be called a house. But it will be مَا لَا عَيْنٌ رَأَتْ وَلَا أُذُنٌ سَمِعَتْ وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ. It will be something that has never been seen by an eye, never been heard of by an ear. Nobody has ever explained such a house to an ear. And it has something that has never crossed the imagination of a human being. Another interpretation of this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build him a house. The virtue and the magnificence of that house, the value or the status of that house over all the other houses in Jannah will be like the status of a masjid to all the other houses in the locality. These are the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody's house can compare to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of its sanctity and in terms of its value. The value of a masjid is more than the value of any other house, even though we don't see it with our eyes. But this is what we understand, that this is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the most valuable places, as the hadith was mentioned earlier. That the khayrul biqa', the best places on the earth are the masajid. These are the best places on the earth. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for all of those who have spent even $1, $1, whatever, if they have spent enough money to build only the mafhas al-qatatin, as is mentioned in the hadith, to the extent of a nest, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a full reward and a full house in Jannah. And just to add on to the name and what he was mentioning earlier, that when we do our amal, we want to do with ihsan ka'annaka tarah, as if you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, even if we don't reach that level, continue attending the masajid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَزِيَادَةً. A day will come in Jannah where you will get to see me. Husna is Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ziyada, I'll give you something better and more than Jannah. And that is that in these masajid you are worshipping me, trying to see me. Trying to see me. But on Yawm al-Qiyamah, I will give you Jannah and you will actually see me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all from amongst those people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the ones who built the masjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all those who attend the masjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill this masjid. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this masjid function and fulfill all of the roles mentioned by our speakers before. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I like that. All three of us has called for dinner.
Wow. Wallahi, I haven't even had lunch and I'm completely fine by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you all are hungry, we can absolutely break for lunch. I'll just take
lunch.
Dinner. I was thinking about lunch, right? Lunch for me, dinner for you, same difference, inshallah. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Just a couple of things I just want to add. Since they were all hunting and pecking, I think they read the same book on Imaratul Masjid, mashallah. It's beautiful. We just learned today what it takes to actually build a masjid. It's not just the big contributors in the masjid that actually make the difference. It's the smallest contributions that make the difference. Also, I'll talk about something that you probably haven't heard. In Surah An-Nur, there's a famous ayat al-Nur, everybody knows, Nurun ala Nur, right? If I had all of these speakers speak about that ayah alone, we'll be here for 14 nights. So I'm not going to talk about that too much. But right after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ayah roughly says that there are niches in the wall. There's a place where you put a lamp. And those lamps, they are filled with an oil that's about to light up. It has this capacity to light up. And nur and guidance come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then it catches brightness, then it becomes bright. And then that nur that was almost there touches the nur from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have this beautiful chemistry of Iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from among them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right after this ayah says, Fi buyutin, there are, and those niches are where? Where are those niches? They are in the homes where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered that His name be elevated and that His perfection will be glorified. It is filled with men, not men as in male, men as in people that are upright. Every single one of you that are here to contribute and participate and celebrate with us this opening are those people that are upright and that are here to build this masjid and contributed through it positively and joined in our celebration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they are not here for any other reason, not for trade, not for business, not just for their name or fame. They are here because they are looking at ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a ziyada that you heard about, that there's an extra, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not explain the extra, but here there's another ziyada in this ayah that follows. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِيَجْزِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنَ مَا عَمِلُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them with something that is, basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grade on a curve. You have good deeds, right? We all have good deeds. The good deeds have certain weight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as if isharatan, like Shaykh Nanawi says, will take the best of your deeds and elevate all your deeds as if along with it, or just grade you for the best asr you prayed, or the best fajr you prayed, for all of the salawat you prayed. That is the kind of reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about in this ayah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from among them. Okay, just very quickly, this is a very, very small endeavor. I'm just a very, very small little fry in the big mix. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these folks have given me a little bit of an opportunity to speak. Because I can speak a little bit of English, I guess. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But alhamdulillah, I'm here. This what you see in Masjid al-Husna, this is a small little seed of what Shaykh Ahmed Salim already guessed. This is going to be a small little seed, which is really a launch pad for something really, really big. That's mega complex, he said. Barakallahu feekum for wishing that upon us, because that's exactly our plan. This is a rental place. We are not going to be here for too long, inshallah ta'ala. But this used to be a house. This used to be a house, and we converted it into this musalla, this masjid. But we won't be here for long. That mega complex, we are inshallah working on people. But this, even to build this took a lot of blood and sweat and energy and aggravation and whatnot, and quite a bit of money. There are donors over here that want to remain anonymous, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill their house with barakah. I'm going to let the dua experts do the dua, inshallah. Okay, all right. Chef, you will do the dua later. Yes, just two more things. So it costed us about $75,000 in donations to actually set this up. We wanted to put a little bit of love in here. We didn't want to just open up a masjid with raggedy carpet, with no paint on the wall and those kinds of things. We wanted a welcoming space. Inshallah, right now it's kind of full, so you don't really maybe you feel the welcome, inshallah ta'ala. But if you don't, inshallah, just come later on. In Ramadan, we will be open. So it costed us $75,000, and our monthly expenses are about $6,000. Whatever you can give, barakallahu feekum, the pledge forms are out there. We are an un-masjid. We are not going to be any other masjid. As you can already see, the phenomenal speakers that we have, we're not showing off that we can come and attract this kind of shuyukh and present in front of you, or to show you that we're going to bling this masjid with all of this ilm. That is not the goal. The goal here is really to show you that we have these folks. We are not a masjid that's going to be on an island. We are here for collaboration across Atlanta. We are going to work with everyone. We are not going to be an isolationist. We are an open masjid. We have started to build this library over here. There are basic books on almost every topic. I welcome you to check it out. On our website, there's a page, there's a library page that we've created, which is explaining the purpose of some of these books and how you can best benefit from them. MashaAllah, our early community over here funded this, and actually we have a small little library going. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala build this. But in that mega complex plan that we have, which inshallah ta'ala we will be embarking on soon, there's going to be also a library. We're a knowledge institution first masjid, like Sheikh Nunawi said. It is, and others said, you say this, before you even say the second salam, you're out the door. That is not the purpose of this masjid. We hold people sometimes by loving force to come and listen. Right after salah, please listen to a few words of dhikr, and that is the whole purpose of the masjid. So again, it's about $6,000 to maintain this masjid properly, and then for the mega project, we will need some additional funds. Inshallah, we will have Ramadan here. We are also embarking on starting the Sunday school very, very shortly. Inshallah, within 20 days or 15 days, you'll see an announcement come out. We will be beginning the Sunday school over here. Am I forgetting anything right now? I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Barakallahu feekum. If you have any questions, please reach out to the folks that are standing around. We will be... Do you want to eat now and pray Isha later, or what do you want to do? Everybody's hungry? Pray now? Okay, we can do that. Whatever you guys want. Anybody need anything else? Yeah, the sisters, mashallah, have all the goodies. They have access to the kitchen and the water. Huh? They're already serving, ladies. Okay, we're also different. We're a ladies first. We're a sisters first masjid. So sisters get to eat first, and we'll figure out how that all works, inshallah. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. We'll do a short dua after this, and then after that you can eat, inshallah. Yes. Eating meat.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. And a special dua for all of the community members, all of those who put their money, put their efforts, put their energies, put their time, sleepless nights, whatever they did for this masjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the facility. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill up this masjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means and a source of iman, of hidayah, of juhud, a place of ilm, a place of learning, a place of ibadah, a place of dhikr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a resort for those who are going through difficult times. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means of mercy and rahmah and a place of retreat for all of those who need it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill this masjid up. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the community to benefit from it in a full way. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make ulama, hufad leave from this masjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow people to come here and change their lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow people to come here into the fold of Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a shining light to the Ahlul Sama. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from amongst those people who do the ta'mir of masajid. Oh Allah, at this time, at this occasion, this amal was done, this masjid was established. Everyone is here. Oh Allah, accept this amal and use that, Ya Allah, to accept our dua for the ummah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث. أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم لا مانع لما أعطيت ولا معطي لما منعت ولا راد لما قضيت ولا ينفع ذا الجد منك الجد. اللهم إنا نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا مجاهدا إلا نصرته ولا عدوا إلا هزمته ولا طالبا إلا علمته ولا عالما إلا عملته ولا عاملا إلا أخلصته ولا مخلصا إلا قبلته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لك رضا إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المجاهدين في فلسطين. اللهم انصر المسلمين والمجاهدين في سبيلك في كل مكان. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم اقض حاجاتنا وحاجات المسلمين. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من زوال نعمتك وتحول عافيتك وفجاءة نقمتك وجميع سخطك. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك وغضبك ومن النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول